Hi, I'm Phil Verda, editor in charge of the Archives of Sexuality and Gender program. Let's talk about sex and sexuality. Specifically, let's look at the time period between the 16th and 20th centuries. In this brief demo, I will introduce you to Sex and Sexuality, 16th to 20th century, one of Gale Primary Source's premier archives. Before we start, a little background is in order, and perhaps you're wondering what this archive is all about. Here's a quote from Dr. Alfred Kinsey that I believe is representative of what the archive encompasses. Quote, "A sex library, unlike a library in any other subject, must draw material from a diversity of fields. Not only must biology, medicine, psychology, psychiatry, and other sciences be represented, but also material from purely literary sources, from the classics, from modern fiction, from poetry, from art, from law, from religious literature, and from many other fields. Through its many monographs, the Archives of Sexuality and Gender, Sex and Sexuality, 16th to 20th Century, offers a fascinating collection of historical material, providing multiple perspectives on the study of sex, sexuality, and gender. It should also be noted the archive presents content in 14 different languages, with a predominance in French, English, and German, including Old French, Old English, and Old High German. Sex is everywhere, so why study it in just one language? Now that I've set the stage, let's have a look at the archive itself. We'll start on the home page. From here, most users will simply enter a basic search term, but you can also explore collections, check out essays and resources, generally finding aids and contextual essays if they're available. Try out the term frequency feature, or read about the archive. Let's click on Explore Collections, and you'll see 3 unique collections available to you. You can click on each of the collection icons to learn more about them, browse their contents, or search within them. We'll start with sex research, early literature from statistics to erotica. This is a collection of 1,410 monographs from the Alfred C. Kinsey Institute for Sex Research, dating from 1700 to 1860. This is a portion of Dr. Kinsey's original library, which he used to study human sexual behavior from a variety of academic and literary viewpoints. We provide an overview to give you a better idea of what's inside the collection. And at the bottom of the page, you'll find documents in this collection where you can actually click a link to view all 1,410 if you wanted to browse them. And again, here's search within the collection. Next, we have a collection of rare and unique books from the New York Academy of Medicine. This is Sexual History and Sexology books, consisting of 1,580 monographs covering a variety of topics in sex, sexuality, and gender studies. From sex education to erotica, manners to medicine, the Academy collection offers a rich combination of materials from the humanities to the hard sciences. And again, here's the overview that'll give you a better idea of what's inside. And at the bottom of the page, documents in this collection, you can view all 1,580 of them. Finally, let's talk about the private case from the British Library. This collection is comprised of 2,637 printed books that were segregated from the main library from the 1850s to 1990 on grounds of obscenity, or simply for safekeeping from the general public. It is an interesting study in social mores, as the definition of obscenity has seen many changes since the mid-19th century. On a fun note, the private case overview was written by Maddie Smith, who was a curator of printed heritage collections 1601 to 1900 at the British Library. One of my favorite descriptions from the overview she wrote comes from the Eric Arthur Wildman collection. Here, I'll highlight it here. I'll paraphrase. Wildman was an advocate of corporal punishment for children and established his own business selling instruments of corporal punishment, including canes, straps, and whipping paraphernalia. Unsurprisingly, Wildman was a controversial man. It is said that in 1948 he was invited to speak at a boys' school. As he spoke, a group of boys ambushed him and beat him with his own canes. This was apparently planned by the headmaster, who abhorred the cane. You can find Wildman's collection within the private case, and you can read all about his efforts to retain corporal punishment in schools. Back to the basic search or homepage, let's perform a simple search for, how about sex? I know, not very original. On the search results page, you'll see a variety of options. You can browse the list of search results, and there's plenty of interesting material that is presented. Got the science of sex, an essay towards a practical solution of the sex problem, sex problems and worry and work, studies of the sex life of women, sex knowledge, the teaching of sex hygiene. Back up here, we can look at some other ways to look at these documents. We have term clusters to see a more visual breakdown of results, term frequency if you're interested in seeing how keywords are mapped over time. And you can also search within these results. You can limit by language or subject or document type, the various collections, or by publication year, including a slider if you want to narrow the year span. So from the search results list, let's select the sex side of life. I should note that some of the books in the archive were locked away as much for their own protection as that of the public. Librarians, archivists, and curators saw the value in keeping these books safe, whether from those who might wish to steal them, those who might wish to destroy them, or those who might wish to suppress them, all while making them available for research purposes. The New York Academy of Medicine notes that The Sex Side of Life by Mary Ware Dennett, published in 1919, is a sexual education pamphlet for young people, and it was deemed obscene by the U.S. Post Office in 1922. Dennett was tried by a federal court in 1928 and found guilty of distributing obscene materials through the mail. You can read The Sex Side of Life for yourself to see what all the fuss was about. Now back to our selected document. On this page, you can view the material and page through it. Just by clicking these arrows, we can go through the publication itself. You'll see your search terms are highlighted. You can also search within the document. You can go to the relevant pages that have your search term. You can look at the table of contents or any available illustrations that are in the document. If available, you can see related subjects, and you can also see the citation. Back to the top in the toolbar, you can create a bookmark for the document. You can download the document in PDF format, or you can get the optical character recognition, or OCR, full text for analysis. You can print the document by page or the entire document. You can cite it using MLA 8th, APA 6th, or Chicago 17th edition. You can export your citation to EasyBib, EndNote, ProCite, Reference Manager, and RefWorks. Or you can simply email the document to yourself. So as you can see, there is quite a lot you can do with the documents you find. Going back to our search results, I'd like to point out term clusters. This is a great starting place for anyone who, like me, is a bit more visually oriented, or who simply wants to, a place to visualize their search results to help expand their research opportunities. The default is a wheel format, but I actually prefer the tile format, so I'm going to click on that. This gives you a heat map, with red being the hottest and usually the most documents, down to green being the coolest and the least amount of documents. But you can click on any of the tiles to dive deeper and see search results. For example, clicking on sex hygiene narrows our original search topic of sex, so you can continue to explore. Clicking on sex function, for example, brings up a narrower results list, which is quite useful when you want to refine a topic. So this is just another great way to get into your research, especially for undergrad students. Let's have a look at advanced search. Advanced search offers the most options for customizing a search. You can search for words and phrases using a variety of useful limiters. Here you can enter a word or a phrase to search for in basic search, or the entire document, keyword, all the way down to front matter. If necessary, you can add rows. And then you have your other limiters. You can limit by publication date, by illustrated works, by document type, by publication title, language, collection, and source library. I'm going to click on collection. What I want to do is show you the extent of the monographs that are in Sex and Sexuality, 16th to 20th Century. So I'm going to add those to my search. I'm going to click on the search button. Now we can see all 5,627 items in the archive. You can browse through the list to see the variety of material available. Sometimes this is a fun way to explore the archive, as you never know what you'll encounter. And sometimes all you need is an interesting title or a curious book cover in order to spark an idea. Just scrolling through the list here, you can see sex histories, authentic sex experiences of men and women, showing how fear and ignorance of the sex life lead to something. Wow. Sentimental journey. I believe that's actually a bit of erotica. Here's a treatise concerning the use and abuse of the marriage bed. A little more erotica, the memoirs of a voluptuary, Journal of Social Hygiene. Here's Lady Bumtickler's Revels, a comic opera. Married Life and Happiness. Here's an interesting one, La Question de Population. I won't even try to do all the French here, but I will note that some of these covers are really gorgeous, and especially at the British Library and at the New York Academy of Medicine, we scanned full color, cover to cover, including spines. So you'll get those fabulous marbled covers and some great color artwork inside. So this is really a wonderful resource. Anyway, thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on about one of my favorite archives. And now is your chance to explore this wonderful sex library. The Archives of Sexuality and Gender, Sex and Sexuality, 16th to 20th Century, offers a fascinating collection of historical material providing multiple perspectives on the study of sex, sexuality, and gender. So don't be afraid to peek beneath the book covers and have a look around.